Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is testing a very important level of support that we need to hold above, or else we could be in for another major move coming soon. On top of that, I'll also be talking about the weekly candle close that just happened, the Bitcoin funding rates, and also today we've had a huge milestone for Bitcoin. All of that and more in this video, so definitely make sure you're watching all the way to the end of this video so that you're not missing out on any of this important information. And just before we get started, you might as well leave a like down below, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. But with all of that out of the way, let's get straight to what this video is about. So right here on the Bitcoin US dollar chart on the 4-hour time frame, and what we have here is of course that bullish divergence that I let you know about a couple days ago. And for the beginners out there, what this means for Bitcoin is basically in the shorter term, we're due for reduced selling pressure, which means Bitcoin is either going to experience some sideways price action or a slight bounce back to the upside, and that's exactly what we've seen over the past couple days. But considering that this bullish divergence is only on the 4-hour time frame, it won't be playing out for that long, at least when you compare this to a pattern that's forming on a larger time frame like the daily charts, for example. So honestly, this price action over the past couple days could have been this bullish divergence basically already play out. But bullish divergence or no bullish divergence, anytime we see a sharp move to the downside like what we saw around 8 days ago now, it's very normal for the markets to take some time to stabilize, usually in the form of a lot of sideways price action. This happens time and time again after a market crash. And of course, I was letting you know that this is one of the most likely scenarios for Bitcoin moving forward immediately after we saw that crash. Now, zooming out to the daily time frame for Bitcoin and bringing out the VP/VR indicator, and what we have here is this huge cluster of volume coming in between 49,000 down towards 45,500. But the biggest spike of volume just here is coming in at around 47 to 48,000. So those Bitcoin prices that I just mentioned are the prices that Bitcoin needs to hold above, because at least according to this indicator right here, that is one of our biggest levels of support in the immediate short term. Once again, going all the way down towards around 45,500. But if we see Bitcoin go below 45K, then we see a huge drop off in the volume in the VP/VR indicator, and the next major cluster of volume starts again at just above 40,000 US dollars. And that's kind of what happened with that flash crash to the downside a little over a week ago now. And interestingly enough, Bitcoin held above this major cluster of volume, coming in at around 40,000 US dollars back at the end of the September correction. So if Bitcoin can continue to remain above the 45K level, then possibly within the next couple of weeks, if that's the case, we could start entering into a recovery after this correction. And I'm not just saying that because of the VP/VR indicator, I'm also saying that because of the price oscillators right now. For example, the daily RSI just the other day entered into oversold territories for the first time in around half a year since the crash that we had back in May. And as of right now, we've clearly got more room to the upside than we do to the downside. And looking in the daily MACD, we are getting closer towards a bullish cross, but I want to make it clear that right now that has not been confirmed, because there has been a couple of other times back here where we've gotten really close to a bullish cross, but we never actually saw it. So it's honestly just best to wait to see that bullish cross actually form. And on top of that, when we're zooming into the daily MACD for Bitcoin, what we have here showing in the histogram is what resembles an inverse head and shoulders pattern, which is a bullish pattern. And we saw this exact same pattern form back in the September correction. And as we completed the right shoulder, saw the bullish cross and head back into the bullish histogram, at that stage, that was basically our signal to us that Bitcoin was bottoming out and getting ready for the next move to the upside. So once again, we haven't seen the confirmation of the bullish cross just yet, but we are forming some very similar patterns to what we saw back in September in the daily MACD. And that's what I was talking about yesterday on the channel. So for the brand new viewers on the channel that want more of a detailed analysis about this, definitely make sure you check out my last Bitcoin update video that I posted yesterday on the channel. And now that we're starting a new week, of course, we just saw a weekly candle close, which by the way, the weekly candle close that we just had was above 50,000 US dollars, which means right now we are not back above the 20-week simple moving average, this green line just here, but we are still holding above the 55-week simple moving average, this red line just here. And by the way, it was at the 55-week SMA that we saw the bottom for Bitcoin back during June and July. And right now the 20-week SMA is coming in close to 53,000 US dollars, and the 55-week SMA is coming in at around 45,500 US dollars, which if you remember was where the bottom of this volume cluster was coming in at on the VP PVI indicator on the daily time frame. So it is seriously important for Bitcoin to hold above 45,000. Now, if Bitcoin experiences a quick wick below 45k and comes back up and then sees a very fast recovery, that is okay, because that is what we saw in this flash crash just here. And also towards the end of July, we did actually see prices below the 55-week SMA, but that was only a wick to the downside. We never saw a weekly candle close below this moving average. So really, for us to break one of these moving averages, we need to see 1 to 2 weekly candle closes below the moving average, which right now, technically speaking, we have broken below the 20-week SMA, because we've now seen 2 weekly candle closes below this moving average, which is obviously not a good sign. That is technically a bearish sign. But as I said earlier, the bulls still have hope here with the 55-week SMA. And just before I get into the historic milestone for Bitcoin today, another reason why the bulls have a bit of hope left is because of the negative funding rates across these exchanges right now. I explained what these funding rates mean for Bitcoin in much more detail around a week ago on the channel. So if you want to know exactly what these funding rates mean, feel free to go back on my channel and check out some of my other Bitcoin update videos. But basically, all you need to know is the lower these funding rates are, and especially as they go into negative territory, that is technically more of a bullish sign. And then the more and more positive that these funding rates go, the more bearish that is. And then if you see any funding rates at 0.01%, that is basically their neutral value. So right now, all of the Bitcoin funding rates are either at neutral values or below neutral values, and especially into negative territory, looking more and more bullish. And getting into the huge milestone that Bitcoin has reached today, the total amount of Bitcoin that has been mined is 90% of the total amount of Bitcoin that can ever exist. So it's taken just under 13 years to mine 90% of the Bitcoin supply. But believe it or not, the final 10% of the Bitcoin supply should take over a century to mine. And I was getting a lot of beginners asking me why that's the case, and it's simply because of the Bitcoin halvings that occur every 4 years approximately. First of all, if you're invested into Bitcoin and you don't know about the Bitcoin halvings, I do strongly suggest you doing a little bit more research on Bitcoin. But basically, when Satoshi launched Bitcoin back in 2009, 50 new Bitcoin was being mined every single block. So basically every 10 minutes, 50 Bitcoin was being mined. And then when the first Bitcoin halving came around in 2012, after that halving event happened, every 10 minutes, only 25 Bitcoin was getting mined. And then we had the second halving event in 2016. And after that Bitcoin halving, every single 10 minutes, only 12.5 Bitcoin was getting mined. And then just last year, during May 2020, we had the third Bitcoin halving that brought the block reward down to 6.25 Bitcoin getting mined every 10 minutes. And then the next Bitcoin halving should occur somewhere in 2024. And that would bring the Bitcoin block reward down to 3.125 Bitcoin getting mined every 10 minutes. And that continues to get cut in half every 4 years, which means it's going to take exponentially more time to continue mining the Bitcoin supply. And if you simply extrapolate all of the Bitcoin halvings, then it works out to be somewhere in the year 2140, in around 120 years from now. That is when the Bitcoin block reward should reach zero, which at that point, well over 100 years from now, that is when the final Bitcoin will be mined. But the fact that 90% of the Bitcoin supply has now been mined, that just goes to show that there's not much Bitcoin left to mine. And it shows you that Bitcoin is getting scarcer and scarcer as time goes on. And more people out there, and institutions, companies, and entire countries are starting to catch on to this, which is obviously very bullish for the long-term future of Bitcoin, talking about years from now. If you enjoyed this video or got something valuable out of it, please make sure to leave a like down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe with notifications turned on for more update videos just like this every single day. And if you want to get extra free crypto content just like this throughout the day, definitely make sure you follow me over on my Twitter. And the link to my Twitter is in the description down below and also in the pinned comment. And before you click off, make sure you're checking out one of these uploads if you haven't already, especially for the new viewers on the channel, because these videos can potentially help you make a lot more money in the crypto markets. But anyway, that is it for this update. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.